Ndị be anyị ekenere m unu. Asị m ka nke e chiri ya zelu. Asị m unu ụtụtụ ọma, ehihie ọma, mgbede ọma site n'ebe isi wee na-esore anyị n'ụbọchị nke taa na Eastern News 24. Anyị si na ọ ya dịrị onye ọbụla na mma ka bụ ndị na-esore anyị n'ilu akwụkwọ n'ihe anyị na-ebe dị iche iche. N'ụbọchị nke taa anyị si na ọ ya dịrị anyị Igbo na mma na anyị yarị ka echi na echi ede agwụ agwụ. Ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ ife wetara n'ụbọchị nke taa bụ ife anyị na-akpọ ya bụ morning tea n'ilu akwụkwọ. Ihe a bụ gbasịta maka ya bụ ihe na-eme na obodo anyị nọ n'ime ya, ana gbasịta maka nwere onwe ndị Igbo na-azọ. Dịka o si dị, o nwere ihe Biafran Prime Minister kwuru n'ilu akwụkwọ nwetara unu ka unu ga-ya bụ ife, unu ga-esi ya bụ ife na tinye alụ nke unu ife unu chere gbasịta maka ihe ndị a niile o kwugasị n'ilu akwụkwọ dị iche iche n'ụbọchị nke taa na morning tea. Dịka ị na-ege ya bụ ife, dropkwara your own comment n'ilu akwụkwọ, ọ dịkwa nnukwu mkpa. All right, over to you, sir.
We are the peaceful one. The Nigerian state is the violent one. And of course, we've actually learned from what happened to others, both in Nigeria and elsewhere in Africa. Africa leaders are the most corrupt, selfish leader you can see anywhere in the world. So they don't actually believe in dialogue and peaceful discussion. So we've seen in Biafra land where peaceful agitators are getting killed, where people who just carry flags to demonstrate on the street are getting shot, straight bullet, killed, massacred in their cold blood. And this has happened from 1999, since the resurgence of the Biafra agitation under Mossab, under the IPOB, Nigeria, where people believe that we're fighting for freedom, only to go to the street, get killed, and they use their pictures and videos to share on the social media. Nigeria is killing us, Nigeria is killing us. I was sitting and watching those things as one Nigerianist that I was. So when I know that Nigeria, it can never ever get better. And I said, instead of wasting my time trying to wait for somebody to come and revive a faulty foundation that I know how rotten it is better that I use everything I have, both my intelligence, my profession, my experience, to support the liberation of Biafra. I joined the struggle. So when I joined the struggle, one of the things I did and promised myself and my God is that under my watch, Nigeria will no longer kill any Biafran and enjoy the killing. So what did we do differently? What we did differently is that in as much as we believe in peaceful agitation and then also, ready for dialogue, so this whole thing can be resolved amicably in a more democratic way, Nigeria are the one bringing violence against our people, killing them for asking for freedom. So we decided to raise our defense forces, and defense forces will be defending our land against the terrorists in uniform, while we will continue to push to the outside world, to the West, to America, in a more diplomatic, more refined, and more, a political way. So we believe in those approaches, and because of the way Nigeria is and the kind of mentality which is kill, 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 and we understand them very well. And the people that are ruling Nigeria are nomadic people. They are not Nigerians. They are not originally from Nigeria area. The president himself is not a Nigerian. I don't know whether you people are aware of that. He's not originally from Nigeria. The vice president is not originally from Nigeria. So these are people who do not believe in human dignity and the right to life. And of course, we always love human beings. We protect them. We protect women. We protect children. So what I did under my government was that I will provide that security that Nigeria never provided for people. I will make sure that those who support the Biafra government, and whenever they get killed, Nigeria will pay their defense. So we started our self-defense by raising the Biafra Liberation Army, the Biafra Resistance Fighters, and the Biafra Navy. And today, they are engaging Nigeria terrorists whenever they come to kill, as usual. So this is why it looks as if there is a violent way to our freedom. We are not the one bringing violence. The Nigerian state do it. So whenever they see that they cannot overpower us anymore, they start running around and complaining that we are violent. How are we violent? Were we the one who went to the streets to butcher and kill people that are carrying flags? Nigeria is not only violent to Biafrans. They are even violent to those who believe in Nigeria. You see them killing people for protesting for bad governance. You see them killing those who protested for criminals in the NSAS protest, when they are protesting against the terrorist SAS officials. They get killed and they cover them. At the end of the day, over 1,000 persons were secretly buried in Lagos. So Nigeria state is a terrorist state. Using violent states on them is just to give them some kind of accolade. They are terrorist state, and so anybody supporting Nigeria is actually aiding terrorism. That's why we are ready to defend ourselves. And so it looks as if there are people who are violent or violent agitators. There is no violent agitator. All we do is to defend ourselves to make sure that Nigeria will never have a field day killing Biafrans again. If you check the past, from 2016 to 2017 to 18, they killed and massacred Biafrans in the field of Biafra, and nobody has been held responsible to it. This is the reason it looks as if we are towing the pathway of violence. And of course, we respond when a government is bringing violence. You do not fold your arms. You will respond with violence. And of course, you need to even have a superior power to be able to withstand the kind of barbarism from the Nigeria state. And that's what Biafra have done very, very well. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister, Mr. Simon. And this historical and joint interview, with the Eritrean government in exile is a milestone in our fight for freedom for the two movements: freedom for Biafra from Nigeria, and also for the government of Eritrea in exile, and government of Eritrea in exile, and of Eritrea inside the dictatorial regime in Eritrea. Can you tell us what do you have in common, both these sisterly governments in exile, and the struggle for independence, and the struggle for free Eritrean people from the tyrant administration in Asmara?
Thank you, Mr. KHA. And again, thank you, Prime Minister Simon. And I would like also to commend Mr. Elias being straightforward in this 21st century. Right. We don't have anything to hide. When you're fighting for freedom, there is nothing to hide.
Yes, everything on the table, Mr. President.
Pardon me?
Everything on the table.
Yes, it should be on the table. Only a tyrant will have something to hide, but we have to be upfront because we're fighting for freedom. So we shouldn't have anything to be worried about by telling it like it is. On that previous question you gave to the Prime Minister, Simon, if there is a peaceful political dialogue, but with this dictatorship and the tyrants, the oppressors, they don't have any vocabulary that says peace. In our case, it looked like it's too late. It became to the point of no return. I don't think they would listen to that aspect. If there is a way, even today, after all this damage that has happened in my nation, Eritrea, if there is anything to be dialogue, if there is a peaceful way to exit, in order to reach or achieve our freedom, we want to do it with the minimum damage. We don't want any further bloodshed. We don't want to create a humongous military in order to battle the existing military. For God's sake, those military that are inside Eritrea is the people's military. They are not a private military. They belong to the nation. If I would remind each and every one of you, as you graduated from Sawa, you have a pledge you gave. And that says, Yes, as a military, I will protect my nation and my people from external and internal enemies. Repeat it, from external and internal enemies. So, I still want to remind you the biggest enemy is the internal one that is looming and causing all this harm among each of us. As we know, he lives in our differences. So we have to minimize our differences in order to know and identify and target the enemy. Coming back to your question though, what do we have in common? Well, injustice in one place is injustice everywhere. If we are claiming we've been unjustly treated, the same goes for the Biafran people. By the same token, something that we have in common also, the Biafrans are also indigenous people. So do we have 4 different indigenous people in Eritrea? That has been recognized through the United Nations. I think they deserve their freedom, their human right intact. I think they should be treated even well known throughout the world. Because of that indigenous movement for all of us, I think we have a big thing in common. Again, even coming as a pro-West for democracy, we both governments are working to restore democracy. And I think this is the biggest binding point we have in order to work together. The minute we met through the Office of Moran Strategies, we decided, yes, in order to elevate each other, yes, we can work together. Yes, our causes are just. Yes, our causes are righteous for our people. Therefore, yes, there is a lot in common for us to work. And I think it is not about if, but when. Yes, we will prevail, and our people, both sides, should be free. With that, I will yield my platform to you, Mr. KJ.
Yes, thank you, Mr. President, Mr. Bahadurai, Mr. G. Mr. Elias, can you give us looking forward and in the future what we can be achieved or expected from the modern strategies and cooperation for these 2 governments in exile?
Yeah, so let me expand a little bit about in terms of what I said previously, which is connected to your question. First of all, I think with our firm, we now have not just a relationship, but a burgeoning alliance between the Eritrean government in exile, between the Biafran government in exile. This will become a very important partnership because both have assets to bring to the table that are mutually complementary. Biafra is a huge country with up to 80 million people, if you include the diaspora. It has a strong military Biafran Liberation Army that the Prime Minister leads. So it has certain assets. Eritrea is a very small country, but it has the advantage of being a country that's already recognized as a member by the international community, as a country recognized by the international community. So I think these are 2 causes that have a similarity in terms of you have people that have been subject to oppression in different circumstances, but who are beleaguered, subject to persecution and prosecution and killing. And so I think there's a commonality there. I think these are brotherly causes. And I think each of these causes and each of these governments are able to provide something to the other, which will elevate each other. And you're going to see a lot more in terms of, we already have specific plans in the works, and you will see those plans come into fruition in the next coming months in terms of how these 2 governments will, in a more formal way, develop their strategic alliance. As I alluded to before, we plan to keep raising awareness of the Biafra issue in Washington. Again, most people were not aware of it. We're now making people aware of it. Biafra has been taken now into the center stage of Washington, being published by major think tanks. There's some major congressional initiatives that we're planning these next few months that I don't want to get to publicly right now, but if they happen, will be very significant. And we're also working with our colleagues in Congress and elsewhere to create additional support for this upcoming convention in Finland. And I'll let the Prime Minister speak more to this. There's a Finland convention between November 29th to December 3rd, where you're going to have the signing of the redeclaration of independence, the restoration of the Biafran state, the signing of constitutional documents, strategic alliances, and so forth. So we're going to kind of, get the political support in Washington for that convention. So that's what we have planned. I'm very confident that with our continued effort, we will move our government towards supporting either recognizing Biafra as an independent state or having the U.S. government endorse the position that the Biafrans should be, allowed to have their independence through referendum.
People. Mr. President, are you are on mute?
Yes, I
Yes,
am.
good.
I say before I proceed with the question, I want to commend the Prime Minister for well articulated and also detailed. I think this is more history we have than ever. A lot of people may not be familiar with the Biafran issue. They might think it's a dead issue, but as you can see, it is well alive and moving. We also have a good friend in them. There's a lot of familiarities that we carry in common, and I think we are together in this fight. Coming back to your question, Mr. KHA, as you might know, yes, Eritrea is independent since 1991. And unfortunately, Eritrea has had high aspirations to govern itself as an inclusive, peaceful, and democratic administration is what we expected. In that particular 1991, not only Eritrea, Ukraine became independent the same year. They decided to go the democratic way. Unfortunately, we went through a dictatorship. And this authoritarian regime we have today, it hijacked the dreams and aspirations. And the Eritrean people have found themselves in a nation without law. We don't have constitution or even any necessary institution. At this juncture, for the last 33 years, no election, no constitution. Where in the world do we hear, where in the world that it exists except in this small tiny Eritrea. You know, we earned our independence through a long bloody struggle, and we paid dearly, many sacrifices. But all this, Eritrean people, dignity, the freedom, it has been betrayed. The struggle hijacked by the oppressive regime only to serve the interest of the few. The economy depleted, and the people's social fabric fragmented. So in order to change this is why from that independence, we have people that are not free inside Eritrea. People that live in fear. People that are jailed without any good reason. In this juncture in our history, we have had over 100 factories in our nation, so long before any African nations, but he kind of closed them all So people cannot function, people cannot work. The single university we had, it has been shut down. We have some colleges who don't have universities, but what we have is 360 underground jails, prisons. People are fearful. They're all running away from home. Our youth, which they are conscripted in the nation for lifetime. This is what some European nations categorize as slavery. This minority level, they work for nothing. They could not go to school, could not work, could not make family. Everybody, at any juncture, I think they are heading to exodus. This is what created in our life before. Eritreans are a very strong people. They love their nation. They love their people. They love their culture. However, at this right moment, every child were used to be saying, what do you want to be when you grow up? Yes, he will say, I want to be a teacher. I want to be a doctor. I want to be an engineer. I want to be a mathematician. But today, I'm dismayed to hear any young kid, if has been asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? He will simply and clearly would tell you, he wants to run away. He wants to run away. So we cannot have this sort of nation building together. And I think we are in a really failed nation as it is. The nation is going the wrong way. The gentleman goes towards the Russians, Chinese at this moment. And we are, as a transitional government in exile, yes, we are pro-West. Yes, we are pro-democracy. Yes, we are pro-justice and for the rule of law. So all of our efforts, even though we have independence, we never had the freedom for the people. Therefore, this is our fight for our people. And we tend to get it to the highest level. And I think in this juncture, it is about time. The time is due for this despotic government. Maybe it's time to leave the nation. Whatever happened did happen. We don't want it to get any worse than it is. So we can restore democracy. We can restore justice. We can let out all those prisoners, political prisoners, journalists, and many women and men that are in jail for nothing. There is a fear, even if relatives, loved ones are in jail. It became a time you cannot ask about them. If you go to ask relatives, yes, you better be thinking twice. And so the people are living in the dark. No wonder they called us the North Korea of Africa. Plus, even worse, you know what North Korea does, but ours, we were given the name the North Korea of Africa, and that would explain a lot. So without saying much, yes, we are not fighting for independence, but yes, we are fighting for our freedom, a freedom at home. And this is what we are fighting as a transitional Eritrean government in exile. Thank you very much.
Mr. Hiabu, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I've been on mute. Yes, thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mr. Guy. Mr. Elias, in a short period of the modern strategies involvement with these two governments in exile, you believe have been achieved?
We've achieved enormous success for both the Biafran government and the Eritrean transitional government within just a 2-month period. In the case of Biafra,
kunu si wene sola ni do akwụkwọ na Eastern News 24 n'ụbọchị nketa anyị na-akpọ ya morning tea. Unu anụgonu ya bụ ife mgbakọrịta ụka ya bụ ife Maazị Simon Ekpa bụ Biafran Prime Minister or Biafran Public Government in exile. Dịka o si dị n'afọ ka o si ada n'iru akwụkwọ. Gịnị ka i nwere ikwu gbasịta maka ya bụ ife ndị a niile kwugasị n'iru akwụkwọ dị iche iche dropụla ya on the comment section below. Also, the Paki be above and cab bosses guinness so you line in Rapo onye na-afụ ya bụ ihe onyonyo anyị kaba alụ ka ị like ya and turn on notification, share kwe ka o wetakwa ndị ọzọ ụmụnne anyị dị n'ebe dị iche iche aka. Daalụ rinne n'Igbo ọma na-ege ntị. Oge na-adịrị anya onye ndu ya pụta n'ụlọ mkpọrọ. Ka emesịanụ ụmụnne m.